My understanding is that 16 years ago, Paul, the owner and original distiller, was kind of working this landscaping business and was getting kind of tired of doing it. It was a lot of work.
My wife felt that she couldn't start her career as long as I owned my own business, and she said I worked too much. So I agreed to sell my portion of the business and be a stay-at-home dad. And after a few months of being a stay-at-home dad, I realized I had to start something else.
Considered franchising, like a Subway or Dunn Brothers, stuff like that. My mom just kept saying no, and then essentially he threw out an idea of vodka distillery.
Yeah, Paul said he always wanted to do something in this industry and wasn't really sure if that was something that he was ever gonna do. And one day, his wife Tina bought him a book that was about the process of making vodka.
It was the first thing that my wife agreed to, so.
The rest is history. All our grain is sourced from a farm about 8 miles down the road from here, Russmore Farms. The story behind that is when Paul first started getting going, he really wanted to use local grain, and he was kind of asking around, and everyone directed him to these guys. It was like, go down the road, speak to this guy.
We talked to the mills, and they said, well, you need to find a single source, a farmer. And the biggest mill, I asked him to give me some references, and that mill gave me one name. And his name was Arlen Strati. So I went to the next mill and I asked him the same question, and he gave me two names, and Arlen was one of them. So I called up Arlen and I said, would you be interested in supplying us with grain? He's about 8 miles from our facility, and he said no.
And he approached them and they're like, I don't think that's what we want to do. Eventually, the son took over from the father, and the son was like, yeah, we should do this.
His son found out, and I called him a week later, and his son convinced him to give us a shot. That was 17 years ago, and ever since we've been getting all our grain from this one family farm just down the road from us. When I first started up, we were making vodka, and then we went to gin. Early on, I felt that I really couldn't call myself a distiller until I started making aged spirits. So then we were able to expand into making aged spirits and building an inventory. It wasn't until I opened up those first barrels and started bottling aged spirits that took years to make that I really felt like I got there. Now I'm a distiller.
So the story I always tell is, as a Scotsman, I think of whiskey as being single malt whiskey. And I never really got into American whiskey at all. And then about 7 years ago, I was working in a brewery across the field from here. And we'd stop by in periodically and taste the whiskey. And they kept giving me the rye whiskey, and every time I tasted it, it was like, that's okay, that's not bad. And that's pretty much both why I came to work here and also why I started drinking American whiskey, was because of the Richmond rye here.
I think the innovations for us started when we brought in Bob.
Bob is from Scotland. He has experience in brewing. This is his first job in distilling, but he has a chemistry background.
His master's from Harry Watt, which is a distilling and brewing school in Edinburgh, Scotland, so I'm a history major. And now I have a chemist that has 25 years experience, and he really brought in the innovations with us, and he helped us be more efficient with our production.
Distillation, it's a little bit like taking a photograph of the ingredients. So you're kind of trying to bring those ingredients out. It's almost like Fermentation's like setting the photograph. You're kind of bringing out all the positive flavors in the grain. Distillation is like getting the focus on the photograph. You're emphasizing certain flavors, getting them brighter, because distillation is essentially just concentrating those flavors. And then you put in a barrel, which is kind of like developing the photo. So you're going to, again, bring out flavors from the wood. Some of the flavors from the distillation get oxidized out, new flavors form. So that's kind of the easiest way of saying what distillation is. When we do that distillation part, one of the things we're going for is a really clean whiskey or gin or whatever it is we're making. So by doing different cuts and selecting different parts of the distillation, we're able to bring that about, and hopefully, if we're known for anything, it should be for a good, clean whiskey.
I just wanted to make a world-class spirit. I wanted to make something that somebody pulled it off the shelf and they just tasted it and said that this is great. I didn't want to be another craft producer that people were just buying it because we were a craft producer. I wanted them to buy it because we were as good as anybody else, or better.
This kind of room right here, the bottling area, once we did that in about 2017, it was, holy crap. We're kind of developing a campus. It's a big deal.
Kind of a breakthrough point for us was the bottling line that you can see behind me.
That bottling line cost more than the first initial building that we built, but it made life a lot easier for our staff.
A lot of what we do is reused. There's very little waste.
A lot of our spent grain, well, all of it basically, goes to Farmer Paul, just right down the road here.
You have waste material from the livestock, and that fertilizes the next crop that we're gonna harvest again the next year and mill, and it's just one big circle of production. Or the liquid that is separated from the solids is handled to a digester and turned into energy for a community just north of our facility.
Every year they give us a weekly report kind of showing us all the different things this helped sustain and build and power, which is pretty cool.
This business has evolved just with the additions that we've had over the years. It started with just a small building, became this side of the building, and then now an event center that the community members can come enjoy.
Distilling side is tradition. It's going to be repetitive. It's sticking to our roots. Where the restaurant side, we do have a tradition goal in place of everything being local and handmade in-house, but it's also going to be innovative in a way where we're going to try new things all the time.
We make the spirits for the community, and they're always going to be our best customers, and certainly when they come here we want to treat them well and send them off home fans of our product.
We are a group that get along with each other, and I think it's because people are passionate about not just this product, but about my dad and our family.
Well, there are times that I come out of my office and I look down at everything and I just, wow, this is great.
So from the first day, this distillery has been kind of a family business. It was originally started with Paul, his father, and his best friend. And as it's kind of developed, his sons have got involved, and now his wife. And most of the employees have been here for a long time. So we kind of all grown together through all the trials and tribulations of running a small business and kind of going through the peaks and valleys of the whiskey market. And I think that kind of is central to the culture and the success of this place.